Good afternoon, everyone. How are you feeling? Hope you are good. Hope you had a really lovely sleep and rest. So I mentioned this morning that I wanted to come in today and just talk about the, excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat, and talk about the aftercare process after healing has happened. And just through some of the expectations, the things that you might find coming up once you've participated and you've watched that. Now, I'm aware that some of you may not have watched or been part of the healing last night or the masterclass last night. I encourage you to go and do that when you can. It's there. It's the transmission. You'll still receive the healing that is intended for you in that beautiful moment in time that's right for you. So that's very important. If it doesn't feel like it's the right time, please do that when it is the right time. But I wanted to just talk briefly over the expectations of healing and what happens beyond, because I know for some people it won't be your first time in working with healing, energy work, looking at life themes that are cropping up. For some of you it would have been your first time, and it's important that I give you some of the information that you need to wrap the human part of you around what happened last night. So the way that I work and the way that I'm being guided, as you now know how things are changing for me, is that I am a channel through many different planes and frequencies, and I want to say dimensions, if you like, in terms of healing. And that's the way that I work. I don't tend to work in a specific area or a specific place, or I tend to open my channel up and allow the information that needs to come through. And that's how I channel a healing or birth or create. I go into meditation and I ask for my team to show me what is needed in the collective and how that's going to look. And then I wait and receive. And then that moves into what it's going to be for you wonderful, wonderful people. When I work in a one-to-one setting, it's a little bit different. It's a lot more potent. It's a lot more, actually I can't really say that. I don't want to say that. Ignore and delete that. It's a very different experience, and I was having a conversation with someone about this today. I can't always explain that experience because every single person has a very unique need and what the resistance is in their life. And that's what my job is. My job is to go and be a channel to allow the connections of what's burning through them to happen and to heal what's stopping it. And that's very different for every single person, and it's very unique and bespoke. And apart from telling you I'll do this, this and this, which is what I do through every session, the messages and the experience, the transformations, the feelings are very, very, very unique. When I'm working in a group setting like we did yesterday, it's channeled for the group. So I trust beyond belief that what is shown to me and what I'm here to do is going to reach someone at some level. So when you do this, if some of it doesn't really resonate, hi Kelly, gorgeous fun. When you do that meditation and when you do that healing experience, if you were listening to the transmission and the words that I was talking about yesterday in my story, if some of it doesn't resonate with you or some of it just doesn't, it's like, oh, that's interesting, that's fine. But keep going, because there will be something there that serves you in a way. It may be the way that I said something, it may be the way that the healing has been created, that when you tap into it and when you drop into it with your awareness, which can happen just from being in a relaxed state, you might get a nudge of something. You're like, oh, and that is the invitation from your team and from the work that I'm here to do to initiate you and to get you ready to there. Hi Kelly. So basically last night I held a masterclass. I held a masterclass which was all around enoughness, and it's just over an hour and a half, and it's talking about my story and what's happened to me in the last six months, maybe just beyond. especially in particular the last 2 months. And also I was channeling a healing for everybody around some of the issues, hi Sarah, that I've been through, because I know it affects so many people. So go and check it out, it's just below. So yeah, go and do it. Yeah, it was really good. Go and do it. It's like, give yourself some time. There's a lot of talking. I think I got to about 50 minutes of explaining my story, and then I went into the meditation, or around that. So yeah, but I wanted to explain how I work and how it's different in a group setting. So the work and the healing that we did yesterday has to be kept quite loose and quite open. Now, there are areas that are strong, that came through strong, and without giving too much away, if you haven't done it, there's some things that were presented to me when I was channeling the healing that I needed to talk about and show you, so that you could feel, see, know, hear that, and know that that was happening whilst we were all doing that healing. Oh yeah, go for it. Now, so that's, the group environment is very different from a one-to-one. Obviously, I'm always open for one-to-one. If you need that and you feel the pull for that, then you let me know and we'll work that out. But in these scenarios, and I'm looking to do more of these group healings in this group, because it's so integral to the work and what I'm here to do in terms of healing. So when you were on that journey and you were receiving the healing and you were listening to what I'd said before, there will be some element of you that had a little nugget of information, whether it was a full visual of the healing and you witnessed all this stuff happening and it all being transmuted and amazing. Whether it was you were just listening, you did the healing, the meditation, didn't really see much, but felt very peaceful and calmful, very peaceful and calm and at peace. But you felt this kind of moment of completion. But actually maybe it was what I'd said before that triggered something with you, that maybe made you think about something differently. I trust that whoever was there heard and received what they needed to in that moment. Once you've done that and done the whole process, there's almost like this expectation of the reality and the evidence of how that then turns up in your life, right? Otherwise, we could sit here and just do meditations all day long and just think that they're helping, and we're spiritually bypassing things, which means we're not going in enough detail to things. When we do healing like that, there is a process which happens. I'm going to explain it to you now. So when we are working in the quantum field and we're working with energy and we're setting intentions and we're asking for guidance, help and support, and it's shown to us. When we start doing this process in the beginning stages, a lot of the time we're imagining it, and this is the portal to allow your guides to come forward. This is why imagination and our way of being able to visualize things and experience things in our mind's eye is so important. The more you do this and the more that you sink into these states and these meditational states, the more the imagination disappears and the more real and the more reality comes in, and the more that you're able to feel the guidance and the support and the enormity of it and the feeling of that complete wholeness and support. But when we start, you're going to think, I just imagined that. That's very normal. You have to start somewhere, right? It's a bit like when you go to the gym the first time and you kind of do it and you're like, well, I know I'm doing the exercises, but I don't really feel like I'm really working out, but I am doing it. It's like that, right? So if you did feel that you were imagining it, please continue, because you've got a good imagination, and it's the way that spirit teams, it's the way that the energies and the frequencies beyond what we can see in our life here, it's how they start to communicate with us. Some people will feel it in their body. They'll just feel a shift. They'll feel different, and they won't be able to fully explain it, but they just know that something's different. Everybody has very, very different intuition, and there is no one that is better than the other more higher, more advanced than the other. It is your own unique journey of how you receive your intuition, your guidance, and your next steps forward. And generally, on a whole, when you receive them, they may not make sense to you. They may not follow a structure or a linear pattern, but if it feels expansive, when you receive that information, it's like, oh my gosh, that makes sense, or that's clearer to me now, or that makes me feel excited, or that makes me feel good. That is your body showing you the way forward. Because you could hear someone say to you, go and do this, but if you can't understand that, you can't really get your words behind it to understand that and make sense of it, you're gonna throw it out and you won't listen to the guidance and it won't come through again, or it'll be harder, right? And they'll be like, knocking at the door. Listen, we got stuff for you. And you're like, oh, I'm just making it up. So that's the first thing that I wanted to talk about. When you start receiving these healings and you start tapping into these places and doing this work together, and you're receiving guidance and things are happening without you controlling it, and you're witnessing all this stuff happening, and you're like, oh my gosh, and then this light came in and it like took me by surprise, and all of a sudden I started thinking about this person which I haven't thought about in 15 years. Excuse me. This is all part of your journey, and this is all part of you being able to understand, and you're being given the guidance to show you how to heal and move forward. When you finish these healings and you come away, there is a process where the energy that we've been using and utilizing to help, it starts to energetically almost decompress into our physical body, right? Because we are in a physical body. This lifetime that we have, we're in a human body, we have hair, we need to poo and wee, we need to cry, we need to do all these things. We've got kids and things to look after, got a house potentially, or a flat, or whatever that you look after. We have to go to a job, all these things. This is a human experience, and this is what we're dealing with now. The work that we do is beyond that. And it holds an energy, it holds a frequency. And as we bring it close to us and we're pulling it forward using our guides and our spirit team, and we're initiating this bridge by putting ourselves in this state and being welcome and open to heal, we start to pull this energy forward, and it starts to come in through our energy field, our auric field, our aura, you may have heard that before. It starts to come into our aura, and it starts to permeate through into our being, into our physical being. To do that, it has to come through cells. It has to be dissolved into ourselves and our cells. When that happens, when that energy starts to dissolve in, the body has to deal with it, as it does with anything, in a biological way. It has to receive the new information, receive the new energy, and that new positive healing energy will start to change the structure of your body and the cells that you have. If they've been taken over by what wasn't serving you, if you're holding that energy and that vibration of things that aren't serving you, and you've got new positive energy coming in, there's a process where that has to then go, which usually happens in the healing, but there'll be some residual stuff in your body that has to go, and the new energy that comes in will then be settling into your body, into your cells, and then your cells will start to regenerate with this new energy, this new way of being, right? So the cells then start to do their thing, they start to divide as we do, but they're coded, they've got all this new information, all this new healing. Then we start this process of regenerating cells, which takes time. Bless you. We start this process of this, our cells regenerate, we start doing what our body does normally, but it's different. Sometimes you can't explain that. You can't explain it to people, you just feel different. And then we start to be given our daily life. By the way, this stuff that was here before, this is a good representation, is it? In my head, using my fingers. The stuff that's gone away, the energy that doesn't serve us, that's been holding the resistance that's now dissolving, that has to go somewhere. Now, usually, when we deal with that, it usually comes up in emotion because it's ready to go, or if it's really physical and it's been a real intense healing session, you may find you start to get symptoms like flu symptoms or cold symptoms, or you may need to wee and poo more because your body is starting to shed and get rid of this stuff, right? This is what's happening with it. Well, this is really important to talk about because I think sometimes we don't really consciously understand what happens when we're healing. So this resistance, this stuff that we've used to heal goes. Our body has to get rid of it, which it will do in its own way. You may find that you're more thirsty. You may find that you're craving different foods or different types of foods. You may be wanting more water, more tea, more lemon. You may feel like you're like, do you know what? I'm going to go on a cleanse and I'm just going to be really mindful in the next few days of what I'm eating, because your body is like, yes, we've got stuff to get rid of and shift, right? Yeah. So your body is going through that process and it's shedding. And so if you feel a bit all over the place, so if you feel like your body is doing more than it usually does, weeing, farting, burping, all this stuff, releasing, sneezing, another one. I know there's colds going around, but when you're sneezing for no reason, you're releasing stuff. It's a way of getting it out quick, okay? So that's another thing that happens on the back of a healing session. So, if you feel a bit spacey after this, don't forget we've spent some time in our mind and in an altered state up high. We've disconnected from our consciousness, our human consciousness, so that we can put ourselves in a place where we can access energetics and use them and utilize them in our body. Sometimes if you are someone who goes through this process and is away during that meditation or during those healings, you are gone or you were like, whoa, I went deep then. Some people go further than others, and if you feel over the next few days after the healing that you're a little bit spacey still, you need to ground. And by that is doing grounding meditations or getting out into nature with your feet on the floor, like shoes and socks off, feet on the ground. Let your body just regulate itself. Remember that it's here. We're not living out. It would be lovely, right, if we were up there all the time. But we are still in this human body and we still need to remain grounded and earthly in a way, because that's what we're dealing with in this experience. So there are other things that you can eat to help you do that. A little bit of dark chocolate's really grounding. Rooted vegetables like, your carrots and your butternut squashes, your potatoes, things like that are rooted in the earth. With think logically about it, if you like. What else? Crystals. If you love to work with crystals, your grounding crystals, ones that work with your earth star chakra, ones that work with your root and sacral chakra, really connecting you with the emotions and the feeling of security and safety. So we're talking about your darker crystals here, and energetic protection as well. So obsidian, tourmaline, smoky quartz, red jasper, carnelian, what else? Hematite, not hermitite, hematite. When we're working with, Spirit are trying to tell me. Shungite. What else? Something else that they're trying to... Hang on 2 secs. There's something that's important. Not only to be using those crystals, but to be using a crystal that works with the crown chakra as well, to make sure that although you're grounding, you're keeping the energy flowing. So with that, we're talking clear quartz, because that is a master healer as well, and it will amplify the effects of the other crystals. So those are really important. You may want to spend more time in nature, either getting out for a walk, and that was what came really clear through this morning for me. So making sure that you get out in nature, but not just when you're taking your dog for a walk and you're like, come on, like you in nature, contemplating, walking, taking things in, putting your hand on a tree, hugging a tree, whatever, looking at nature and just being in that moment. When you're connected with the earth and nature and Mother Earth, you're inviting that connection down below as well, and you're utilizing Mother Earth to help you stay rooted, but to help you also be open and grateful to the wonders that we have here as well. So that's that. So that's grounding. There's loads of other things you can do to help you grounding. If you're struggling with that, you need a bit more guidance or specific guidance, let me know, because there's so much within grounding. So these are the things that can happen after a session. So you can feel all these ways. More often than not, I would say most people feel a little bit out of sorts or tired or emotional after healing. And that's really good. Now, any healer or light worker or anyone that you go to help you with these things will always tell you it is the most important thing for you not to push these emotions down. If they feel uncomfortable because you don't express them enough, they've come up for a reason. You put yourself there to help yourself heal. Don't at the last hurdle push it back under the carpet. Sit with it. And I know it's uncomfortable. I'm not saying that this journey to help you move forward is going to be easy or like rainbows. Sometimes it's wonderful and these experiences are lovely, but actually when we're left with what we've got to look at and be like, well, that was presented to me, that's obviously something that I need to look at a bit further. I need to witness and accept, like I spoke about yesterday. You've got to do it. You really, really must. And by that is sitting with intentional time that you've put aside for yourself just to gain some clarity, to write some journal prompts down, to think about things, to think about what you saw or what questions popped up to you when we were talking, and to then, write it down and think, how does that affect me? What am I making that mean? What does it make me feel? When did that happen to me? When did it first happen to me? Is it bringing up memories of when it's happened before? Is this a pattern? All these really key questions. And sometimes we can't always then get those answers ourselves. And this is when, if you do healing, or you've got a way that you love to really work through things and it works, do that. Whatever makes you feel good and feels comfortable and you really understand, use that method. If you're not sure, or you're trying and using your method and it still doesn't feel like it's cutting it, it's going deeper, and your subconscious mind is going to stop you from going there because it's protecting you from being upset. It's protecting you from getting hurt by revisiting it. Very normal, but at that point, you need some help. It's okay to ask for help. This is what I do. So you can reach out to me, or if you've got other people that you use or that you feel drawn to, that you're in their world and they help people similar to what I do, maybe different methods, and you're like, okay, I'm struggling with this now, it's deeper, I need some help, go and see them or speak to them. And I know that usually in this work there's an exchange of money, and if money is tight for you, it's tight for everybody at the moment, with the way things are changing, especially in my circle and the people that I serve. Don't ask questions. Can I pay over installments? I need the help. Is there something I can exchange with you? Can we do an energetic exchange? Is there something I can give you? You be creative. If you know you need to work with someone, ask the questions. I'm always happy to do payment plans because I don't want people to feel like they've been priced out. It's very important to me. So, I've got people that are paying over 36 months because they know that they need to work with me, but they can't afford that all the time. Now, that's an extreme circumstance. I don't do that all the time, but it's possible, all right? So if you need help, ask for help, and that's when you can't get any further. So so once we've done these healings and these contemplations are happening and we're like, okay, well, that happened, and you look into it and you think, do you know what? I don't need this anymore. I feel very differently about this now. Oh, hi, darling. Lelia. Thank you. You may contemplate it and it may be whirring around in your mind for the next few days. And you may be like, God, you know what? I feel very different about this. My awareness of this now is so different, and I don't need to carry that with me anymore. I'm a different person now, and those feelings came from the old me. So do you know what? I'm ready to just consciously, in this moment, say no, self-anoint myself, step into my power and say, this isn't me anymore, and I can drop that. And literally, poof, it's done. And that sounds easy, but sometimes it can happen like that. Sometimes it takes work and you need help. And sometimes it's a conscious twitch. Did I just say twitch? Switch. It's a conscious twitch. You may just have that awareness to it, and you're like, this is not me anymore, and I am choosing in this moment to not give this my power, my personal power, back to this anymore. I don't need to. And that's it. And then you've moved through it. There's very many different avenues to which we heal. To discover which way you heal will be presented to you when you start contemplating it. So when we've done healing, generally in a few days after you've moved through these few days of feeling a bit weeing or pooing a lot or whatever it is, or burping and farting and sneezing because you're releasing stuff, you also may find that there are circumstances in your life that come to the front that were lingering around in the back, but actually now they're being brought to the front, and you're like, oh. And the way that you approach these and that you consider and think about them will be very different. And this is your evidence now of how the healing has affected you. You will be looking at these and you will be acting as if someone has turned a switch, and you're like, I can navigate this so much easier than I ever thought I could, that I ever thought possible. And this is where you start compiling and stacking evidence that the healing is working. Things that you wouldn't have been able to approach before, suddenly you have a bit of a personal power, and you're like, no, I'm going to deal with this. I'm going to be mindful. I'm going to remember what I've learned, and I'm going to approach this because I want it done. And this reflection and the way that you look at that is so key for you building evidence. That's, when I say building evidence, the reason I do that is because as humans, we've been taught and conditioned all our life that if something is right, you'll have a physical evidence of it. If you do something, you get a like on social media. If you create something, someone will purchase it. If you eat a certain way, if you're trying to lose weight, if you eat in a certain way, that the weight will come off and you will be lighter. There's a consequence and an action, a physical, tangible, measurable thing that we have as a human. When we're dealing with energy healing, we're not working with the physical. We're on a different level now. The consciousness has evolved and we're receiving different stuff. And you can't expect to receive physical evidence when we're not working in something that can be measured. It's not an A plus B plus C equals D. It's this. So when we receive evidence, it comes from feelings, it comes from knowings, it comes from feeling like you're stepping into personal power without realizing that you've done it, and then looking back and going, holy shit, I reacted in a completely different way. Or, oh my gosh, these things that used to trigger me and activate me and make me so cross, they're not anymore. And these are your evidences. This is what we're stacking. We're stacking evidence that doesn't make sense. Some people won't understand that. This is what we struggle to explain. But it's so key, because this is what you're building. And this is where your trust comes in. You start trusting more because you've got evidence. Another version of evidence. You're going through all of this, and then you pull yourself an oracle card or a tarot card that day, and you pick up the one that is about initiations and stepping into a new way of being. And you're like, oh my God, you can't make this up. When you start receiving those things, these are your tiny, noticeable things, evidence stacking, that's supporting you from the quantum field that some people don't always understand. All right. So that's what you're doing when you're reflecting and you're witnessing all these scenarios happen that have been fueled by your resistance that we've healed, that we've gone through and healed. And this is how it's presenting itself to you as an opportunity for you to show how the healing has affected you. Okay. What did I write there? There will be more that comes through to you when you're reflecting, and when we heal. You'll start to notice. I talked a lot about in the masterclass about threads, this golden thread that moves through and helps us to understand what's going on and where the enoughness is playing out in our life. Now, enoughness is linked to many layers, and it will be very deep. and it will have these beautiful golden threads that we're tugging on to help heal. And you will find that maybe by tugging on one and helping yourself, that you find another one. And that's okay. The more that we release, the more resistance that we heal, the more we go through this, the more we are showing and doing the actions and doing the work and presenting ourselves that we're ready to go deeper and to heal more. And when we do that, when we heal more, we reach a deeper state of peace and calm, some enlightenment. We go through this wave of being and we get presented with the next thing that needs to be cleared. It will feel never ending sometimes. We're never going to finish and be completely healed. But the things that we need to work through in the moment to help us will always be there. You'll never be presented with something that you can't tackle, that you can't deal, and you've got the support to help you. So just notice and be mindful of the threads that start showing themselves beyond what you're healing. That can happen too. May feel overwhelming, sit with it. There's no rush, there's no expectation for you to go and do it now. It may be, okay, I see you. I'm going to put this to one side. I'm just going to be mindful of it, that it may show up another time. And that when it shows up and it feels, I feel icky about it, I know it's holding me back with something and it's time to look into it. I was guided to say to you before I came on this live that people who did this will feel this light. There'll be a lightness in your energy over the next few days, by just having some awareness, by having this topic and this discussion brought to light will really help with just having a little bit of that off. So if you're feeling that, if there's nothing else that you feel and everything else that I've said, you're a bit like, hi Zoe darling, everything else that I say you feel, doesn't really resonate, but you feel light and you're like, I did that meditation, I do feel a little bit more airy today, like I got more space around me. That's perfect, because that's what was meant to be for you as well. So I wanted to come on here and explain what happens beyond and your actions now leading forward. Do you? Amazing, Zoe. Love that. Go back and watch this live, Zoe, because it's got some nuggets in that I think you will probably find. You know a lot of it already, but it will help. Slept so well and feel 100%. Oh, yeah! So pleased. It's amazing what this can do, isn't it? Zoe's got the evidence. So, I'm going to leave it there. Please bear this in mind for all of you who are new to energy healing or wanted to just come along and see what it is, or you've watched this live first and then you're like, oh, I want to go and have a go. Please go back and do the masterclass. Like I say, it's a story of mine, sharing with you what's happened to me. It's important, but it's 50 minutes and then there's a healing. So it's over an hour and a half. So plot some time and I'll do it in 2 halves, whatever you want to do. But yeah, if you watch this live and you're like, yeah, I want to have a go now, please go and do it. This is what I'm here to hold for you. And thank you, Zoe. Have a lovely day. If any of you, I know there's someone in this group who wants help and doesn't want to reach out because I felt it this morning. If that is you, please stop being silly. I'm not scary. I want to help you. So if that's you and you want to reach out and ask some questions, send me a message on Instagram. You can, or Messenger. That's where we're here. That's where we are. Send me a message to help. I'm more than happy to explain things to you, or if something happened and you weren't sure of what it meant, I might be able to get some clarity on that for you. So, sending you all love. If you found this helpful, please use it going forward, and I would love to hear your breakthroughs. If you had an incredible experience, please write it. It's really actually cathartic and really good to write these things down in a post, pop it in here. We can all celebrate and champion the breakthrough that you had as a community in here, because we've got some wonderful, wonderful people, healers, coaches, people that are just starting on their journey in this group. So I really, really encourage you to even if it's just give someone a like or a heart, just to show your support, please do that. It's great for everybody to feel seen, to feel heard. You know what it's like to feel seen and heard, especially when you've had something that's been heavy on your heart. So please champion your experiences, jot them down, and I will see you very soon. I'm teaching Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so that's tomorrow and the weekend. So if there's anything you need and you don't hear from me, give me a little bit of time. I will get back to you. And take it easy. Have a good weekend. Lots of love.